Concept Office Hours is our live series where we sit down with people from our team and also from the Plone community to talk about the projects, tools, and ideas shaping our ecosystem. Every episode is live, every episode is open, every episode is a chance for you to join the conversation. Speaking of which, please, if you're enjoying this stream, please hit that like button. It helps us to reach more people in the community. Our videos are bumped, you know the drill. And if you don't want to miss future episodes, subscribe to our channel and click the bell icon so you can get notified when we go live again. Now, the best part of doing this live, you can ask questions. I always joke that my superpower is having David, Glick, Fred, and all the other people from the community working with me. So drop them in the chat at any point during the session. I'll do my best to answer them as we go. All right, so today's episode is about Cookieplone 2.0. I'm going to walk through what we've been working on, especially what came out after the recent Bucharest Sprint and where we are heading next. So let's get started. First thing is, I believe most of you know Cookieplone. You've been using Cookieplone for creating code bases and so on. And I do hope, and I see it's a little bit bumpy. Let's hope it gets better here. But let's start with showing you some stuff. First thing is, we have our office hours in the Kit Concept website, so go there, take a look. It's important for us that you basically keep in touch. And if you have suggestions about next topics, ping us. We will be glad to discuss this. Also, Cookieplone. First thing is, let me go a bit of history here. Plone has a long history of creating code-based generators. We had Zopscale, ArcGen, XML, Paster, Mr. Bob, Plone CLI. All of them are great. Some of them are better than we actually need that. But the important point in here is all of them died at some point because they were restricted to our community, and or they were over-engineered, or they needed lots of efforts to update the templates and so on and so forth, and then the templates get outdated and so on. So lack of maintenance in the long run killed all of them. And one of the interesting things, a few years ago, I had a talk with Jens. Jens was created a cookie cutter template to generate a Zope instance. We started using it as a community. And besides that, I've been using cookie cutter for more than 10 years because it's easy to implement templates. The templates live on a repo on GitHub or GitLab or whatever. And the repo can be private, so you do not need to share your company knowledge with other people. And most of the users of Cookie Cutter are non-developers, and they are data scientists or people that actually need to generate something quickly. And after a while, it became clear that, okay, maybe having Cookie Cutter would be good for us as the community, because with the templates living on a repo, with the templates being easy to maintain, we would benefit with easier workflow. You do not need to, there's a new version, I need to update, to install again my package and so on. It's easy, but Cookie Cutter is also way too simple. When we compare Cookie Cutter with, for instance, Mr. Bob goes rounds and around Cookie Cutter in terms of features and how cool is it to develop new stuff. For instance, it's really hard in Cookiecutter for you to create something that updates an existing file. For instance, to add a new template or a new content type. That's why we keep pointing to Mr. Bob / Plone CLI to do this kind of stuff. But other than that, Cookiecutter is easy to implement fixes and so on and so forth. And for a while, Jens and myself, Jens Klein from Klein's on Partner, and from the Plone community, of course, we maintain Cookiecutter. Now he's still there. I moved on. But what is important here is Cookiecutter was a great solution. We started using Cookiecutter for our templates, but then we bumped into a wall. One of the problems we have, and that I think it's important for you to understand, it's why did we create something else called Cookieplone? First thing is Cookiecutter with multiple templates, and this is something we implemented while maintaining Cookiecutter, the ability for you to point your Cookiecutter to a repository, and at the repository root you would have like a catalog of templates you can choose, and from there you create your code base. That is great, right? Because instead of having 10 different repositories that you need to remember before you start using, you have one place. That's how we created like Cookieplone templates, like a repo with all of them. Before there was a different name, but yeah, that's the idea. So, but having those templates in the same repo creates another problem. That's duplication of code, and code gets old really fast. And you need to update a version of something. You need to basically grab through all templates and hundreds of folders and files to find where it's used. It's kind of painful. And one of the things we decided to have was to implement tests for the templates, because I'm generating something, I want to make sure at least the basics are done correctly. And we had duplication of the templates fixtures to test, and it gets hard really, really fast. So we needed a way to reuse part of other templates. For instance, when I create a new project with Voto frontend and Plone CMS backend, I need actually to rerun the backend add-on and the frontend add-on, combine them in a different structure, and then go on. I want to reuse what's there, not to create something new, right? And during a Holodeck Sprint 2024, I was talking to David Glick, and I said, okay, the only way to do that is to create a wrapper around Cookiecutter that will know these things. A wrapper that will also have the ability to have all the filters we need for the templates, all the fixtures we use in tests, all in the same place. Meaning, developing a template or maintaining a template would be easier. So during a Holodeck Sprint, we created this thin wrapper around Cookiecutter. It's called Cookieplone. Cookieplone was meant to be just something that, I have a nice splash screen, and this is what Cookieplone looks like right now. You basically run UVX Cookieplone. There's the logo screen with the template selection. You can select the template you want. For instance, a Voto project. You already downloaded. Go on. And then it starts asking you questions. We implemented some stuff in the middle here, like on the pre-hook, to make sure you have all the components you need, and so on and so forth. So that's it. But if I have a mistake on the second question, problem, and so on and so forth. It works. It's what everyone is using right now. And it was already better than what we had before. One thing we added was the support to generate sub templates. So when I have like the project template, I basically have a configuration that says go now and run this other template here and put the content here. And that was good. Everything so far was good. Again, thin wrapper layer, focusing on sub templates, focusing on reduce duplication of code. So we are set, right? But before I continue with our story, I want to see if we have questions. So let's put some questions on screen so I can answer them. Let's see. Oh, that's Rob Gitema, creator of Nick, asking how hard would it be to support alternate backends like Guillotina and Nick? That's a nice question. And I need to explain the division. Cookieplone is a tool that refers to a repo where the templates live. Okay? So all we need to do is to add a new template in here. And I was talking to someone from the community, Mark Palomaki, that was talking about, oh, I wanted to have Nick support. And I said, okay, we can do it. It's not hard. So that's more a template question than really a Cookieplone, but stay tuned because I'm going to talk about this more. Any other questions for us? For me right now, let's see. When I can ask AI to generate a Plone project, do I still need a boilerplate-based approach? That's a good question. One of the things it occurred to me, and probably we are going to add an issue here to have that for 2.0, is basically to make Cookieplone AI friendly. It's not really hard, to be honest, but I'm going I was thinking about something like, okay, you call the agent calls the Cookieplone, and Cookieplone replies with like the information it has, and then the agent can run this. So it's doable. We are going to add a issue for that to be tackled during Beethoven Sprint. Any more? Oh, good question. Can I point Cookieplone to a local template repository? Yes, you can. Now we have a nice documentation on Plone GitHub io/Cookieplone. This is targeting the 2.0 release, but I believe we have somewhere environmental variables reference. This one here. If you set Cookieplone repository, you can point whatever you want. Okay, so that's it. Another question before we move on to Cookieplone 2.0. No questions, so okay. Oh, yes, that's a really good question. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. For this one, wait and see, we are going to talk about this. So Cookieplone 2.0, why do we need a new version? Why we need to focus on something like a new version of Cookieplone? I'm going to look for one of the issues here that documented about use to inform, blah blah blah. I'm trying to remember which ones. There was an issue here somewhere that, let me see, it's old. Cookieplone breaking, blah blah blah. It's really, really old, maybe from February last year. Input validation for names. Okay, so take a look. Exactly this person asked this, and there was this whole discussion here, and then King Nguyen started complaining about as well, and then there's a community post, and I said to him like, oh man, it's too hard, and yeah, maybe not, and then I realized, oh, I can do this, we can implement that into Cookieplone, but instead of being a thin wrapper around Cookie Cutter, we need to go down one level, right? So the moment we go down one level, we can control how the whole interface is done. So that was the trigger for Cookieplone 2.0. There's another one that's still not solved. That it's basically, how can I rerun Cookieplone on top of existing code, project or code base and update everything? And this was reported by Victor Fernandez de Alba, that works with me at Kid Concept. He complains a lot about this. So this one is the next big step. We had to do a bunch of other things before to get there. But in general, what is important for you to understand? If we kept being just the thin wrapper around Cookie Cutter, we would end up in a scenario where we needed Cookie Cutter to change stuff on their side before we can do the same here. Also, we wanted to improve the user experience. Also, we wanted to even improve the way we handle sub-templates. After 2 years developing templates and maintaining templates, some things became too obvious. One thing is, see, as every template has its own like forms and variables, one common problem is, many templates need to know which version of GitHub action checkout needs to be used. And then someone goes and, there's a new version, it's V6. Then in one template is V6, and the other one is V4, and the other one is V3. And it gets impossible. We needed a way to unify some things that will be passed down to everybody else. So Cookieplone 2.0, it's here. It's an alpha version. If you run UVX Cookieplone, like I did in here, you get the version. Of course, you get the version 1.0. It is stable. The version 1.0 points to the main, and here the main branch of Cookieplone templates, and which I broke last night because I merged, instead of merging to the next branch, I merged to the main. Sorry for that. Thank you, David and Leslie, for reporting and taking care. So this is the stable templates. They will work, they will keep working until we have a final release of 2.0. Then we are going to make sure the templates are unified again. But to use Cookieplone 2.0, you need to basically point to the version. Right now it's alpha 1. When you do, the first change we have is when you run Cookieplone here, you get all templates in one place, right? Getting all templates in one place is great, but there's an option, I believe it's all, that no, it's not all, damn it. There's a version that I do not remember now, but shows you all the templates. And we have many sub-templates and hidden templates in there, and it gets way too complex. So one of the things is, now you start by asking, by answering one important question. What do you want? I want to generate a new Plone project. I want to extend Plone with add-ons. I want to create a documentation template. So if I start with projects, then I have 2 versions. And then, Mr. Rob, this is where we're going to have a third option, is a Volta project with Nick backend. it does not create a mess of many different options, and then we can start moving. One important thing is Cookieplone 2.0 uses a branch of Cookieplone templates called Next. Okay, this Next, it's where we are going to refactor the templates to use the new format, clean it up, get all the goodies from 2.0 in place without breaking everyone's workflow. Okay, so that's the main goal in here, to keep working as we always did. Meanwhile, we keep developing a new version. So when I do this, I come in here and it looks exactly like Cookieplone. So let's start with project title, project description, a new project using Plone 5.2. Okay, but I made a mistake. There's in here a tip for you to basically do this, and oh, a new project using Plone 6.2. Project slug, project URL, author, Érico Andrei. Oh, today I'm using my corporate name, so it's Andrei at kitconcept.com. Should we really use pre-release versions? Yes. So 6.2.0, Volto, Python package name, Volto add-on name, language. It's going to be Git concept, Git concept container registry, GitHub container registry. This, I do not want a caching server, so no. Editable playbooks, no. GitHub, no. No documentation. And now I have the option to review all my answers. And if I'm not happy, what do? I say no, and it goes back with already everything filled. Oh, this site is going to be in, no, it's going to be in Portuguese. Just same thing. And now we have different options here, right? But let's be honest, this is ugly, right? So we have support now to export, not this, but Cookieplone or handler, yes. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to use a different handler. Export Cookieplone. Okay, so UVX Cookieplone 2.0, same thing. But then, now I have also a nice description here. I still have the question one of many project title. So it's going to be project title, project description, new project using Plone 6.2. This, author, Érico, again, kitconcept.com. Release versions, yes. Right version, Python package name, Volto add-on name. This is going to be, for instance, English, is concept. no caching, no Ansible, no. And I have also the same nice thing to generate and then proceed. You see, in terms of user experience, now it's way easier for you to basically start and, oh, I made a mistake, go back, and so on and so forth. I hope this kind of helps. Project title, I'm going to open here. Yes, I trust the authors. I do not need this. And it's exactly the same code base. There's one difference that you get for free. Here there's a .cookieplone JSON. This is going to be the basis to the Cookieplone update command in the future. So you have the questions here, the answers you gave, and then you have the template you used, and then you can basically rerun everything. Okay? And it seems we have a question. Oh, yes, it is possible. And I'm going to show you. Right now, again, there are two important things. We did not implement the easy way to get everything in place, like the nice diff and so on. There's an issue for that. But imagine I want to rerun this, but this host name needs to be something else. Okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to change here to, let me see, it's going to be title.project, and it could be a demo effect now. I have no idea if this is going to work or not, but I do have in here the project title, right? So what I'm going to do is, using the answers already present in here, if I try to run this, and I'm going to say no input first, it's going to complain to me that, oh, there's already a repo in place. Maybe you should use this. There's a shortcut, I believe it's force, but now before I check, I believe this is used in here, DevOps stacks. Where is it? Here. And then, yeah, let's run. Let's see what happens. Generated. And did he use the new one? Where's the host name in here? Title. So, oh, it already created a new one in here. See? We had this one, and now this is the one. So it actually works. It's not perfect. If I had, if I committed everything and tried to run, I would basically have a diff that I could use with Git to implement everything. So in terms of features, like front-facing features, these are the obvious ones. I can rerun a template with answers. I can override everything. It's not the feature that we really want to ship in the future. That's basically going to have a nice way of doing this, especially because if you change a file, if you change the file later on, what do? Right? So it's important for us, but I want to show you something else. One of the nice features we have, as you saw, we can have descriptions and so on and so forth. To make sure it was we could have really verbose and really comprehensive form building tools. We changed the template format. I'm going to show you. This is how like the questions for a template with Cookieplone 2.0 and with Cookie Cutter look like. You have in here the everything that does not start with like an underscore, it's going to be asked to the user. Everything that has 2 underscores is going to be computed. Everything that has 1 underscore only, like this here, it's going to be treated as a constant. It's basically configuration. And of course you can see it's basically question, answer, and this is a key. After a while we had to, we need to provide a better way of seeing this. How do we do it? And Cookie Cutter, we implemented this key in here called prompt. Under, prompt, under, that you can do stuff. But even so, it became a hack. It was a hack on top of a hack. So this here, it's basically how we create a new, like a documented template. The new version uses a file named cookieplone.json, and it's important. Cookieplone 2.0 is going to look first for cookieplone.json. If there's no cookieplone.json, it falls back to Cookie Cutter. Okay, Cookieplone 2.0, it has in here the template, some configuration for the template, stuff like extensions you're going to use. Everything that was a constant on the other one in here, it's like a configuration, like the sub templates you're going to use. There's another possibility here that I'm going to talk. It's about versions, but for now, let's settle with this. And then you have the schema here. That's a JSON schema that defines the question. So you have a title for the form. We are not using that for now. We can. It says, it's version 2.0. You have the properties here. So title, it's type of string. This is the human friendly label. This is a description, the default value, if it has a validator or not. So if I'm typing and I basically go there, and for instance for Plone version I type something that does not exist, it's going to complain, and same thing goes for Python package and PM package name. It does this validation here, and you see everything in here. Email, use pre-release versions. Now it's a Boolean, right? Python package name, language code. This uses the well-known format of JSON schema form, so you can basically extend this. You can point to a different definition somewhere, and so on and so forth. And you can have also branches in the form. I did not implement here in this pull request, but it's going to be possible. The host question, this one here, it makes sense only to generate the Docker Swarm thing. If you're not using Docker Swarm, it makes no sense. So we probably should be conditioned. I only care about this if I'm using some kind of DevOps. If I'm not using, ignore this, and so on and so forth. So we can have branches and so on, language code and so on. And then to keep compatibility with what we had before, we also have now things with the format computed. Everything that's computed, it's not going to be shown to the user. And here is just the I just kept the same names to avoid replacing everything in the templates, but it could be anything, right? And in here we have all the data. And one important thing, I want to show you something. We were here at Classic, right? How do I start converting from this to this? Cookie cutter, I believe I can run cutter to Plone, cookie cutter.json, cookieplone.json. So we are now looking here. You see Project Classic. And now we have cookieplone.json, and then we can basically come in here and edit everything the way we want. Okay? One important thing is we also changed the format from the top for the top level thing, like the top level configuration for the Apple. Now we have in here Cookieplone config is version 1.0 because it did not exist before. Plone community templates, official Cookieplone templates. This is nice. This is going to be implemented before until Bucharest Sprint. I'm going to talk about, but we have the list of templates exactly like we had before, but now we have groups. So projects generates that create a new project. You add it in here if it's hidden or not. So things for DevOps or CI or other or sub templates, you can group your templates. That's a good question I heard from the voice from Beyond. If we can have nesting, not right now. Right now we can have only these two levels, but that's a nice thing to create an issue. I don't know if I want to have many levels, but it could work. So, and there's something else that config in here. We have a versions key. The idea is for us to basically have define in here versions for things that are going to be used by all templates. And in the templates, I believe, let me go back, not to Classic, but to monorepo here. If I come, it's on, trying to remember which version. Somewhere, yeah, I can take a look, but we can basically refer to versions. Let me see if I find something. Okay, here, versions. We now have a second namespace. The first one is cookie cutter, but then we have versions. And these versions, they are inherited from here. But if you go to your template, for instance, for here, the monorepo, and okay, monorepo here, and add versions, and then inside versions you add the, for instance, DevOps traffic version to be 3.12. It's going to use the one you defined in here. So you can override this in here. And the last thing I wanted to share, it's this extends here. One common use case, it's the following. And this is, there's an issue for that. In here, repository extension mechanism. Imagine you want to use everything the Cookieplone templates from the community have, but then for your use case, you do not care about the GitHub CI because you use GitLab. What should you do? We are going to have now a different thing, this mechanism that's going to be based on this key in here. You're going to create a new repo, for instance, EEA/Cookieplone templates. You're going to use that environmental variable that I mentioned here to point to your template, not the main one. But your template is actually extending this one here. What does it mean? Basically, the same way we have the customizations from Volto, where you have like the customizations folder and then you customize one or another file, you would be able to customize the template. You would be able to add new templates. You will be able to customize something else like a different one file inside the template. All of that is going to allow companies to have their own repos with their way of doing things inside the Plone community, because everyone is different. For instance, EA, they use Jenkins a lot. They need to generate their Rancher stuff. At Git Concept, we have a really complex GitHub workflow. So that's the idea. That's going to be the major feature we are going to add. And besides that, we are working hard to improve the documentation. In here, right now it's in this address. The idea is to go to docs.plone. This is going to be the documentation for how to use Cookieplone, but also how to create the templates. So we have two different target audiences here that we need to understand. One thing I did not mention, but the whole form mechanism was built on top of another library that's on the collective, that's called 2i forms. And this in here allows you to create forms on the text user interfaces using JSON schema form. Okay, also documented, so you can see here. And one of the next things we are going to do for the Git Concept distributions is to, when you say create a new site on the terminal, you're going to have a walkthrough. The same way we have for the Cookieplone, you're going to have your questions there, answer the questions, have the, oh, are you sure? Yes, go on. Okay, so do we have questions? That's a really good point. Thank you, boss, for asking that. One of the things is every repo, every template we add in here, there's a test for it in the test folder on Cookieplone templates, right? And the level of testing, it really depends on whoever is implementing. But for the templates, projects, monorepo, we have it in here. Right, and one of the things Cookieplone does is to provide template developers with fixtures to basically run everything. So in here, every time you see cookies is basically get me this fixture, PyTest fixture called cookies, and then pass the context here. That's a value that is also a fixture, and the path to the template, and generate the template and make sure the path is going to be the same of project's log and it's a dir and so on, and you have tests. One of the things I added to the next branch is the ability to basically come in here. And let me see, we are in template, then you can run tests, and this takes forever. And right now we are using something called xdist to run tests in parallel, right? So it's running tests and it's going to run tests and for quite a long time. So next question. Oh, that's a good question. Let me go back here. I am going to start again. I'm going to be lazy, right? So Voto, and then project title, description, slug, URL, author, email, full. Okay? Okay, I'm going to use this one. Versions, I'm going to use the default ones. What about having two, 6, 7, because I have teenage kids. So I believe that answers your question. So we have, and then you are reprompted this. If Armin is here, I would love your input in terms of user interface here. And as I said, as this handler thing is replaceable, we can implement one that's basically web or one that talks to LLM. So that's it. What else do we have? Plone. Actually, the Cookieplone is basically the tool, and it uses templates you have on Cookieplone templates. For add-ons, we've been using Plone. We can have a session on Plone for soon for projects and add-ons. And the whole idea, Plone was created to solve one specific problem. Imagine you have, I have Simples Consultoria here in Brazil, and I have like few clients, not many. But one of them really comes back and, oh, I need to add this feature and so on and so forth. So I wanted to have the change log of all the changes created and so on. We have this monorepo structure with backend, frontend. So I cooked up a bunch of scripts to automate this process. What does it mean? Oh, the packages, the backend and frontend are not public, so they're not going to be published on PyPI or NPM. But I want to create a new tag and create the images and so on. At GitConcept, we had exactly the same problem. And then we had two sets of scripts. Plone was born to solve this problem and have a unified place. But then we bumped and Andrea that asked this, he works for Red Turtle. And Red Turtle has one of the coolest add-ons, that's the form for Voto form support and Voto form block and so on. Has a front end and a back end part. They live in different repos and they have complete different versions. And every time I bumped one, I need to go and see if it's compatible and so on. So we decided at GitConcept to have the monorepo approach for add-ons and always bump both front-end and back-end at the same time. Oh, but there was nothing changed on the back-end. I don't care, but at least people will know if I have a version 3.0 of this add-on, I have a version 3.0. Voto Light Team is one good example of this. We are on 8.0.0 alpha, I don't know, 14 or something, 18. So I release both and I know which backend and which front-end part. So do we have any more questions? Should a combined front-end and back-end add-on be listed in the add-ons selection panel, or Okay, previous approach of creating a project and releasing them as separate. I do not know if I understand your question, but I think add-ons, if you have a project and this project has features that are only meaningful for this project, you do not need to create an add-on, right? But if you see these features are going to be used in two different places, I strongly suggest you create the add-on and then you create the add-on somewhere else and then use the add-on. I think this maybe is the answer to your question now, look. But you know, you have a superpower as well, you can write me on Slack and I can answer. Okay? I would like to thank to all of you that came. I would want you to basically go here on Cookieplone. Take a look. Remember, right now Cookieplone 2.0 is the main development. And it uses Cookieplone templates on the next branch. The idea is to avoid breaking everything like I did last night, so sorry again. But that's basically the logic. To use Cookieplone, the new version, you come in here and do this. And you can test, add some issues here, report, and so on. In terms of features, the only feature for 2.0 that we did not implement yet that we wanted to have is the repository extension. We do have in here a target for 3.0 to have the Cookieplone update. Why not to have it now? Because it's a lot of work, and to be honest, I want more community involvement in this one. The repository extension mechanism, it was discussed during the Bucharest Sprint, and by the way, nice t-shirt. And we kind of have an idea, but come in here over the next few weeks, add your comments and so on and so forth. Same thing, if you have if you want to change the way templates work, issues in Cookieplone templates. If you want to improve the way Cookieplone looks, and it's in here. Okay, I would like to thank you all for coming. I would again ask you to like, subscribe to get notified for the next videos, to visit our office hours page on kitconcept.com, and you know how to reach me. And we would love to have you here. We are going to announce probably tomorrow or Friday the next session topic, but it's going to be next Wednesday around this time, so it's either 3 or 4 Central European Standard Summer Time. So stay tuned and see you all. Thank you for coming.